2360 students, I hope everyone had a great last couple of weeks. So you'll see here we just finished up our Module 7, the role of the early childhood teacher. So that means at this point you have already submitted your behavior lesson plan, your lesson adaptation assignment, as well as your reflection. So now we're going to move into closing and wrapping up materials for the rest of the semester. So I wanted to just show you where we're going to be to finish strong in this semester. So you'll see we are in April 28th through May 1st. So May 1st is when spring semester ends. And you'll notice I put a makeup week as well as course wrap-up activities, which we will go over in just a few minutes. Also, I have a discussion of what I've learned and course feedback. The due dates I changed just a little bit, but I'll get into that in just a minute. And then you'll see that we have finals week, which we do not have a final for this course, so that won't, that doesn't affect you, but you do have a post-test, which we will get into as well. So as I mentioned, May 1st is when the spring semester ends. It has really just flown by. I can't believe it's already over. And then final grades will be due May 12th, and then you should be able to get your grade available in your MyWS account by May 14th. So let's go ahead and get into what you are going to do for course wrap-up. So if you look at the table of contents underneath Module 7, you're going to see a section that states post-test and course feedback. You'll click on that. And these are what we call the wrap-up activities. So the first one you'll look here opens on April 28th, and that's the course feedback. Now, a while back, the college sent out a notification in eLearn. Every time you logged in, it said it wanted you to review your courses. Well, this course feedback is tailored directly to our course. And what I mean by that is that this feedback allows me to improve my course instead of just like a generalized version. So what you're going to do is you're going to get on the discussion board that says course feedback. I did provide you a link, and I want you to describe what you felt were the positive aspects of the course, what you learned, what you took away, and if there's anything negative, things that you didn't like. Remember, if you see a problem, make sure you provide a possible solution. How could it be better? But I want you to be honest because your feedback is valuable. It helps me improve the course in the future. You are not going to have to reply to any students, right? This is specifically for me, the professor. So you are who I make this class for, right? I teach this to you. So I welcome all your thoughts and feedback. This is not going to count against you. You get points for participating, and I appreciate your feedback. So that will close on May the 5th at 11:59. And then you have the next section here you'll notice is post-test. Again, that's part of the wrap-up material. So the post-test, if you remember back to the beginning of the semester, if we can go back that far, I know we've slept since then, that very first week of classes, I gave you what I called a pre-test. And what that test was, it was a quiz, and it tested you on our various course topics for early childhood education, specifically inclusive education. And I wanted to see what you knew about those topics, right? And I told you that it didn't count against you in your average, you just get points for taking it. But at the end of the semester, you were going to take the same exact test again, and what that allows me to do is to see your growth, number one, but also to see, number two, if you're mastering the course objectives. So you're going to be taking that same exact test again. Now you'll see here it opens on April 28th and it closes on May the 5th at 11:59. So just make sure that you take that. Again, there's not a final for this course. We had tests each module that were pretty heavy. So actually, instead of doing one final at the end, you basically had different tests that made up the final material. So you won't be taking the final. These are only two things that you will be responsible for doing. Looking back again at the calendar, I just wanted to remind you that there is what we call a makeup period. So if you look at the course syllabus, it states that I do allow students to make up one module quiz and one module case study assignment. Now, if you'll look back in our grading scale, the case studies took up a portion of our grades. So I do allow students to make up one module quiz and one case study assignment. So this is the week that it will open. It only stays open this week, meaning that April 28th, the late drop box is going to be open for you to submit one of those case study assignments. And then you may also reach out to me via email and tell me which module quiz you would like for me to open. Now, this will close May the 1st, which means that by May 1st, all the late submissions have to be submitted to the late drop box, and you have to take your quiz by that time, because then after May 1st, you won't be able to take the module quiz that you missed. So just keep that in mind, that it's open and ready for you to make up that missing assignment or missing quiz. The other thing I had a question about that I wanted to go over real quick was that some students were asking specifically about the discussion board. So where could you find this? So again, I linked the discussion for you for course feedback, but there's also a section here, what I've learned. Now, this was part of that participation reflection of what you've learned from the case study projects. Now, some people went ahead and connected it at the bottom of their lesson adaptation, and some of us didn't. But for those of us that didn't put it on their lesson adaptation, and you want to still complete that discussion about what you learned from the case study project, that Dropbox is still that discussion board is still open, and it will stay open until May 1st. So you still have time to put that in there. So just make sure that you keep that in mind. And that was a few questions. That was a question I had from a few students. So I just wanted to clarify that. All right, well, it really has been a pleasure teaching you this semester. I know that this is a difficult, challenging course. There's a lot of components. This is an NIEYC accredited course for accredited programs, so it's very heavy material, and there's a lot of moving components and parts. I have been grading your inclusive practices fieldwork assignments. As I'm grading them, I'm emailing you and emailing your feedback. I have really enjoyed reading through those. We've done a really good job. So when I email you, make sure you go back and look at your feedback on that. I know that was a very large project for this semester. But I hope everyone had a great semester. You took a lot away from this course, that a lot of us are already working in the field, so hopefully you can start applying some of these strategies and practices in your own classroom. And if you're not in your own classroom, hopefully when you do have your own classroom, you'll be able to use these and use the application for these topics. I hope that you have a great semester. If this is the end of the road for you, and you're getting ready to graduate, I know you'll do great things. And if it's not, I hope to maybe have you in another class and maybe hear about all the wonderful things that you're going to be doing. All right, it's been a pleasure. Take care.